Chapter 11. Average profit and price of production. Capitalist costs of production and profit. Source of profit. The surplus value created by workers' labor is the origin of all capitalist profits. Components of value. A commodity's value comprises constant capital, means of production, variable capital, wages, and surplus value. Capitalist versus real costs. Capitalists measure costs as the outlay for capital, C plus V, while the real cost to society includes surplus value, C plus V plus S. Profit as transmuted surplus value. Profit is surplus value expressed in relation to the total capital invested, obscuring the exploitation of labor. Rate of profit. The rate of profit is the ratio of surplus value to total capital, SC plus V, expressed as a percentage. Relationship between rate of profit and rate of surplus value. The rate of profit is always lower than the rate of surplus value because total capital exceeds variable capital. Factors influencing the rate of profit. Rate of surplus value. A higher rate of surplus value leads to a higher rate of profit. Organic composition of capital. A lower organic composition, higher proportion of variable capital, results in a higher rate of profit. Economy of constant capital. Efficient use of constant capital increases the rate of profit. Turnover of capital. Faster turnover of capital leads to a higher annual rate of profit. Formation of the average rate of profit, and transformation of the value of commodities into their price of production. Two types of competition. Within a branch, this refers to competition between companies producing the same type of product. They compete on price and try to achieve the lowest production costs. This leads to price determination by social value. Prices are set by the average production conditions in the industry, not individual company costs. Superprofits for efficient firms. Companies with advanced technology and higher productivity have lower costs and achieve superprofits, extra surplus value. Pressure to innovate. To stay competitive, less efficient firms must adopt new technologies, leading to industry-wide technological advancement and increased organic composition of capital, more constant capital relative to variable capital. Lowering of profit rates. As technology advances and becomes more widespread, superprofits disappear, and the general rate of profit declines. This drives further innovation, creating a cycle of technological development. Between branches. This involves competition between capitalists in different sectors of the economy to find the most profitable investment opportunities. Varying organic composition. Different industries have different ratios of constant to variable capital. Profit equalization. Competition between branches tends to equalize the rate of profit across different sectors, even though the organic composition of capital may vary. This means that capital will flow to sectors with higher profit rates until competition drives those rates down. Scenario: 3 industries, leatherworking, textiles, engineering, have the same total capital but different organic compositions of capital, different ratios of constant to variable capital. This leads to different rates of profit if commodities are sold at their values. Capital flows from the less profitable engineering sector to the more profitable leatherworking sector. This increases competition in leatherworking, driving down prices and profit rates, while the opposite occurs in engineering. Price of production. This process continues until an average rate of profit is established across all 3 sectors. Commodities are then sold at their price of production, which is the cost of production plus the average profit. This means some sectors, like leatherworking, sell below value while others, like engineering, sell above value. Transformation of value into price of production. This shift from value-based pricing to price of production is a key feature of mature capitalism. In early capitalism, profit rates varied significantly between sectors due to limited competition and barriers to capital flow. With the rise of machine industry and increased competition, the average rate of profit and price of production become dominant. Implications. The law of surplus value still operates, but it's expressed through the average rate of profit. Prices of production redistribute surplus value between sectors, with some capitalists gaining extra surplus value while others lose some. This mechanism contributes to the dynamism and instability of capitalism, as capital constantly seeks the highest profit rates. Bourgeois critique. Bourgeois economists argue that Marx's theory is flawed because prices of production don't always match the value of commodities. Marx's counterarguments: value is realized in aggregate. While individual commodities may sell above or below their value, the total value of all commodities produced is equal to the total prices of production across society. Profit stems from surplus value. the total profit accrued by capitalists is equivalent to the total surplus value extracted from workers' unpaid labor. The average rate of profit is directly linked to the overall exploitation of labor. Value influences price of production. Changes in the value of commodities, due to changes in labor productivity for instance, will ultimately affect their prices of production. Law of average rate of profit. Competition between capitalists drives the equalization of profit rates across different sectors, even if their organic composition of capital varies. This law operates spontaneously through market fluctuations and capital flows between sectors. The average rate of profit reflects the overall degree of labor exploitation in society. Price of production as modified value. The price of production, while seemingly different from value, is essentially a modified form of value that incorporates the average rate of profit. It acts as the center point around which market prices fluctuate. Concealing exploitation. The transformation of value into price of production further obscures the exploitation of labor, making it appear that profit arises from capital itself rather than from unpaid labor. Class struggle. The law of the average rate of profit highlights the inherent antagonism between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. It demonstrates that the capitalist class as a whole benefits from the exploitation of the working class. True liberation for workers requires the overthrow of the entire capitalist system, not just individual capitalists or reforms within the system. Tendency of the rate of profit to fall. The driving force. Individual capitalists constantly seek to increase profits by adopting new technologies and replacing workers with machines. This raises the organic composition of capital, more constant capital relative to variable capital. While this benefits individual capitalists initially, when widely adopted, it leads to a general fall in the rate of profit. Why the rate of profit falls? Increased organic composition of capital. With more investment in machinery and technology, constant capital, relative to labor, variable capital, the proportion of surplus value generated by workers decreases compared to the total capital invested. Slower turnover of capital. Fixed capital, like machinery, takes longer to recoup its value compared to circulating capital, like raw materials. This slows down the overall turnover of capital and reduces the annual rate of profit. Counteracting factors. While the tendency of the rate of profit to fall is inherent in capitalism, several factors can temporarily counteract it. Increased exploitation. Capitalists may increase the rate of surplus value by intensifying labor, extending working hours, or lowering wages. Unemployment. Technological unemployment creates a surplus of labor, allowing capitalists to suppress wages below the value of labor power. Decreased value of constant capital. Technological advancements can lower the cost of machinery and raw materials, partially offsetting the rise in the organic composition of capital. Cost-cutting measures. Capitalists may compromise worker safety and health to reduce costs and maintain profits. Imperialism. Exploiting cheaper labor and resources in less developed countries can provide a source of super profits. Consequences of falling profit rate. Intensified exploitation. Capitalists squeeze more surplus value from workers to compensate for the falling rate of profit, leading to increased class struggle. Competition and conflict within the bourgeoisie. Capitalists compete fiercely for a share of the shrinking profit pool. Imperialist expansion. Capitalists seek higher profits in less developed countries, leading to exploitation and conflict. Monopolization. Capitalists form cartels and monopolies to control prices and maintain profits. Overproduction and crises. The drive to increase the mass of profit leads to overproduction, exceeding market demand and contributing to economic crises. Historical limitations of capitalism. The tendency of the rate of profit to fall highlights the inherent contradictions of capitalism. It reveals that capitalism's pursuit of profit ultimately undermines its own development by hindering the full utilization of productive forces. This law points towards the eventual historical limitations of capitalism and the need for a different mode of production.